All right, welcome back. It's been a second. We left off talking about step 5. We were talking about courage in step 4. And then we talked about integrity in step 5. And if you went to the website and you have access there, you saw the different examples that were given in writing inventory, taking it straight out of the book, as well as some resources that could get you to write some extended inventory if you're curious on that. For some of you families writing inventory, it looks good. Interesting to see that the other side of the table on that. I'm learning that different dynamic and in that perspective. So it's really neat for me to be able to learn as well. Today we're going to talk about steps 6 and 7, and we're going to look at the principles obviously behind those two steps. Step 6 is we are entirely ready to have these defects of character removed, and step 7 humbly asks him to remove these, or God to remove these character defects. In my opinion, again, all these videos are my opinion. It's my take. This is like how I've been doing it. Do it however you want to do it. You're just getting my perspective. Bash it if you want to. Fantastic. Don't care. That's fine. But my opinion is that these are the two steps that are the least looked at. And over time, and like just doing work with my sponsor and in the community out here and in my meetings and trying to like grow on a spiritual, a different spiritual plane and growth, I found out that these two steps are so super important. There's a book called The 12 and 12, and it's something after the big book, of course. And it says in the 12 and 12, when it's coming to step 6 and 7, it's talking about these are the steps. This is the step that separates the boys from the men. This is the step that separates the women, the girl from the woman. To me, that's pretty big. That tells me something. There's certain things that I read in the book when it talks about, words that stick out, like indispensable, when talking about willingness and honesty and open-mindedness. These are indispensable. They have to happen. They have to occur. They cannot exist without that. When you tell me something like, this is what separates the boys from the men, my ears perk up. I'm like, dang, there's something to that. Because typically in these steps, this is what happens. This is what I have seen since 2018 and how this is like approached. Until I did a lot of different work with my sponsor. A lot of times a person would come in, you would write the inventory that we talked about in step 4, right? Then you share that inventory with a person that you give the spiritual permission to give you feedback and perspective of. Fantastic. I walk out of that 5th step and I now feel like I have this power of choice to control, not against the addiction. We're past that, right? Only time we're going to talk about that specifically is within step 1. And so we get past that. Now we're talking about behaviors, and now I have the power of choice to control whether to be honest or not. And I've mentioned that in the past videos. Now, what happens after that is typically someone will sit with their sponsor and they're going to get this crazy list. This is what baffles me. And if you still do this, listen, it's fine, but here's what's happened in my experience. When I sit across from someone and I'm reading my inventory to them, and at the end of the inventory process, they give me this list of like 70 character defects. It blew my damn mind, right? Like I couldn't it was too much for me to like grasp. Like I felt like at this point in time, we were just like picking from a list in the dictionary or Google or whatever it is that I'm like, oh my gosh, this dude's this dude's that, this dude's that. And it's just like, it was way too much. And so what I'm going to tell you today, I'm going to give you an exercise for you to look at. Do this on your own. And it's something you can always come back to. And I think it's pretty interesting. But when I sit across from someone, I've done this several times, and there's all these huge lists. It was way too much for me to like even begin to fathom. So what happens, you read your inventory, your sponsor gives you these character defects. They say, hey man, take this list, go somewhere quiet, sit there for, meditate, sit there for an hour. They say meditate. The book says sit quietly for an hour. Look over this list. When you're ready and willing, right? In this moment, it's like this is all happening like this, which again blows my mind again. When you're ready and you're willing, you're going to sit there and you're going to ask God to take those character defects away. Poof, gone. And again, I'm thinking that way like, dude, I'm sitting there staring hard like, God, please take these character defects away from me. Let them go. Like, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. And I look up and I'm like, I'm still judgmental, And I look up and I'm still full of pride, okay? And I still have like lustful thoughts in my mind or whatever that it may be. And I'm like, well, this didn't work. So what the hell are we going to do next? Like, oh God, please remove these things from me. I really, really want it this time. Like, take them away. I swear to God, I'll remove everything, right? Foxhole type shit. And they're still there. The truth is like we're growing on a plane, right? I've never been in a situation like that, where I ask God to remove these things and they gone, and I become, all of a sudden I'm not prideful. All of a sudden I'm not selfish. All of a sudden I'm not like have selfish, self-centered thoughts. I'm completely humble. I'm full of integrity, and honesty just comes by nature. All of a sudden it's just natural for me. Has not been my experience. If that's yours and you have some burning bush moment, the seas are parting, the water's turning to wine, fantastic for you. You are among some of the very select few. And if those of you that say that that's happened to you, if I've seen, multiple of them, 10 or more in the same room, I'm calling bullshit immediately. My experience is so much different than that. It's like, these are things that are given to me, to which now I must act in accordance to get better at. The thing is what I need the most is awareness around these character defects to be brought to my attention, right? And if you give me a list of 85 to 100, I've seen it be, I'm telling you, crazy. I've sat down, I'm like, okay, I don't even want to read this meme. Like my ADD mind goes somewhere else automatically after you tell me the top 10, or not even the top 10, just the 10 that are on this list. I'm done reading them. And so I was thinking to myself, again, if these are the steps which getting to the process that separates the boys from the men, there's something is to that. So I'm going to look at the principles behind each one. Step 6 is willingness, right? Step 7 is humility. Interesting concept there. Humble has not been part of my life, right? And still today, I guarantee there's many people that can look at me and say, that's like an unhumble guy. Here's the thing though, and this is what I really want to stress to us people that are in recovery in general. Do not place labels on people. The problem is like, if you want to take my inventory, and we're going to consciously and constantly take everybody else's inventory, right? Oh, he's that, he's that. It's so interesting that we do this in this process of recovery, that we are people out here that are supposed to be leading life with grace. We are people out here that are supposed to be so less judgmental. In my experience, we become even more judgmental. We become even more guarded. We become even more people that judge people on their past behaviors or within character defects. And that is crazy to me, that most of us come from a place of like hopelessness. Most of us come from a place of total darkness, of being that outcasted person of society giving up on us and looking down on us and things. But we step right into that role whenever we feel like we have found some freedom. And the truth of the matter is we shouldn't be doing that when we feel like we have freedom in our lives. We should be trying to figure out how to give more freedom away to other people. And that's the case where we got to get better at. And that's the case where we got to quit judging people so often, because we cannot ask God to remove these character defects, but not go to humbly. In the humble part of that is to act the opposite of those, right? Is to be more honest, to look at my life and say that I am judgmental, and to stop judging people so much, and to call those things out, to surround myself with people that can hold me accountable in that sense. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at these things in a different way. I want us to like kind of simplify it and hone in on some things that I think we all can. What I'm going to circle back around to before the phone call got in there is that if I never give someone the opportunity, right? If I put a label on someone, no matter where I am in my life, if I'm saying that guy's arrogant, no matter what, and I spread that message to everyone, hey man, you haven't ever met this guy before, but I'm telling you right now, watch out. He's arrogant. Watch out. The dude's a chronic relapser. It's comical to me. I mean, that guy's a chronic relapser. Watch out. This is about this guy. And you never give that guy an opportunity to work through that character defect. And you always continue to label that person at that character defect. Well, no shit, they're never going to get over it, because in your mind, in your perspective, and in the chaos and the disease and what you're spreading to other people, you're labeling that person, right? You still are working in judgment. You're not giving that person an opportunity to become less of what you've already put on top of them based on what the standard of the world has put within them. That's crazy to me. We got to get better at that for sure. So we're looking at character defects here. Again, I want us to do something a little bit different. It talks about this. There's a great book, and I suggest everyone go check this book out. Really, the first chapter is better than the second. It's called Drop the Rock. It specifically talks about step 6 and 7, and step 6 is really great. And in that book, it looks at the 7 deadly sins, and it calls them the 7 deadly character defects versus the 7 deadly sins. And I think that is absolutely beautiful. Because there's only 7 of them. I'm not looking at a list that comes to me that are 50 to 100 to 85 or whatever that may be. I'm looking at a list of 7 things that really pop out to me. Number 1's pride. Got it. This guy, full of it. You know what I mean? And that's one thing that I have to constantly try to bring into awareness to me to be a better person. And there's other ones that you can look like things such as greed, such as wrath, such as sloth. You know, you can look at those things in your life, and all of a sudden, when I look at those 7 things, I go, oh my gosh, my wrath is being tied to my pride, and my pride, it looks a lot like sloth, you know, and I start to move those things around. It just makes more sense for me to hone those things. And so what I challenge people today is, no matter where you're at in your life, no matter if you're working the steps and you're coming to 6 and 7, or maybe you're I don't care if you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years sober, or maybe you're just a year. It's an exercise for you to take an opportunity to look at those 7 deadly character defects, right? The 7 deadly sins. Take each one of them and dissect them just a little bit. Write out beside each one of those 7 deadly sins how that thing is showing up in your life. How is pride keeping you from becoming the best you, right? How is pride, right? Me acting in pride, keeping me blocked off from receiving whatever it is that your higher power, my higher power, God is trying to give to me. And these things, I think, when I circle back inside the steps, when I pay attention to the most, I'm really sitting in 6 and 7 quite a bit, because they pop up all the time. It's like, I know I'm a selfish and self-centered person. That is the root of our troubles, right? It's not as if that just completely goes away, right? Absolutely. It's like I wake up every day, and typically my first thought is going to be about myself in some form or fashion. But what am I going to do about it? There's a humility part, right? When I see pride pop up in my life, when I notice that I'm being a little defensive, when I notice that I'm being judgmental, what does that look like? And how am I going to act different? How can I invite God into that situation to be different? You know, it's just like, here's an example of an exercise I do. For whatever reason, a guy thing is you create almost like a gym nemesis. Yeah. Like there's this dude, this just happened to me recently. There's this guy in the gym, and he's dude knows what he's doing for sure. And I've seen him for, 2 years now. And I create this judgment around him that I don't like this dude for whatever reason, probably because he looks better than I do. He knows what he's doing more so than I do. He's just, I don't know, he's got that aura about him. There's something within him that I just have put judgment on for sure. And I was like, you know what, dude, I'm done with that crap. What am I going to do? How am I going to act in humility within this situation for myself? And what I challenged myself to do was to go meet that person. I happened to be walking in the parking lot, and I walked out, and he was walking up, and I just was like, hey, man, how you doing? My name's Jay. I've seen you in here quite a bit, and just wanted to meet you. So we crossed paths. We know each other. We're in here all the time. You know, we see each other all the time. I'll be damned if this guy wasn't the nicest dude on the planet. His name was Luis. He was, he's definitely foreign. Just had a good conversation with him. And then every day after that, it was like, hey, man, what's up? And you create something. But my judgment, right, the character defect of judgment, in which obviously goes back to some form of insecurity within me and fear that I'm operating out of. But I have the opportunity to work in humility, to walk through that fear, to fight that insecurity, to change the narrative that I've created, okay, to become a better person. And I challenge us, we got to do that in a lot of different areas in our life with people. I have judgment as one of my biggest character defects because of an insecurity of mine, right? It's because it allows my ego to survive. For example, I walk into a room, and immediately what I start to do when I look around that room is I don't go like as an internal, shell of a thing. I start looking around that room, and I pick out things in people like that's wrong with them. Like even small things like, oh, dude's hat's ugly. That girl, she don't look good in that color. Whatever those things may be, right? Dude's shoes are crooked, shoes are dirty. Whatever that is. I can't believe he's wearing khakis, something like that. And the reason I do that is because it allows my ego to survive in that space, right? All of a sudden, I've raised myself on the totem so I can walk in with my chest held high and I was like, okay, I'm better than that person in some form or fashion. My ego does that. My judgment does that. And so what do I fight against that? Is the best way that I've known to do is just go straight to those people and meet them. Hey, what's up? Introduce myself. I have to squash it. It's just a thing that I have to do in my life today when I'm looking at judgment, or because I know I'm fighting some form of insecurity and some form of fear. And it goes back to not being liked and needing everyone else to like me. And if I don't know those people, then I have to create something that makes me feel better than they do. Okay. And that's the character defect that I have to work on necessarily the most. I harp on the honesty piece, and I've really felt like that with integrity has become something in my life that I've been good at. Still, judgment is not. And I'll become loud because of it. And I'll start to create narratives that go against the grain because of it. And so I think steps in 6 and 7 are something we really need to pay more attention to. It needs to become something more than just sitting quietly, asking God to take these away. And as if I just like that happen and then I don't return to it. Because it's something that I think we're going to have to battle every single day. There's no miracle that's been performed in me. It's the whole thing that I can go back to, that faith without works is dead. It's the same thing within character defect. It's like when I ask God to move a mountain, don't be surprised when he hands me a shovel. It's the same philosophy in that. And I have to apply that to every single bit of me in my life. And I have to be properly armed with the facts about myself. Knowing these things. And that's why I need the perspective from a fifth step. And that's why I need to be able to dissect and look at the 7 deadly character defects, to look at how these things are showing up in my life. And I constantly need to be taking inventory to see where that's at. And I need to put myself on a plane where I'm willing and coachable to hear those things. Because if I am not, then I will constantly deflect it. So steps 6 and 7, there's more to it. My advice to you is to pick up, drop the rock. Look at the 7 deadly character defects, the 7 deadly sins. Write those out and how they are showing up currently in your life, and have the willingness to work in the humility portion of that to get through those fears, to overcome the judgment, to overcome the pride, to look where wrath shows up, and to look where greed is showing up in your life. And I think those things allow us to be a better person. Listen, these steps are amazing because anyone, like I've mentioned before, can work them and it can enhance their life. It's a constant process. There's no graduating to it. I think there's layers and levels to getting one within ourselves, right? To becoming totally self-aware. That's the goal. It's a mission. Do we ever get there? I don't know. But I think from the progress that we do in the middle of that, within the work, within the trudge, I think that's where the miracle happens.